Hello comrades and comradettes, and welcome back to a new video in Mountain Blade Warband series, where I'm going to pretend that the year-long gap didn't happen and continue from where we left off. Well, not exactly where we left off. I played a bit and I chose to proceed just with one character. If you remember, I had a trader, horse archer girl, and a warrior guy. I chose a male warrior, and I played to the point where I think I'm ready to do some new exciting stuff, which means that the most of the middle and early game is done. And here's my character as it stands now. I made him into a pretty good fighter. He has a lot of strength and decent agility. His intelligence and charisma are a bit low, but that's okay. I will focus on charisma and intelligence from now on, since his fighting skills are already very good. He has 8 power to strike, 6 in power throw, which I'm using throwing weapons, and he has a 5 in shield, has good riding skill, well, enough for a good horse, and pretty decent horse archery skill, which allows me to throw weapons from horseback. And from now on I will probably focus mainly on trainer and charisma skills like leadership, maybe a bit more to prisoner management, persuasion, and definitely more inventory management. As you can see, up to this point I used mainly one-handed weapons, polearms and throwing weapons, though I will probably start using crossbows more often once sieges start, once I will start to participate in siege battles. So I think that's it for the character overview. Now let's look at my inventory. Most of the gear I got from drops, from loot drops, that is from loot from bandits and deserters and the like. I haven't fought any lords yet. Most of my own characters equipment I bought for him, this armor, gauntlets, horse, and morning star. I like morning stars. I like having morning stars for all my companions too, because of the piercing damage. It's very good in later game when you fight a lot of heavily armored opponents. Piercing damage ignores, or at least heavily reduces their armor rating. And they also use, as you can see, throwing weapons, a lance, and I also buy for myself and all my companions Huskarl's shield, because I think they are the best shields in the game. They have a good resistance, very good coverage, and a decent health pool. Helm and boots I got from drops. They're not that good, but enough for now. And the horse is probably the most important thing if you participate in a lot of field battles. And I will have charges or heavy charges for all my companions too. I'm just not at that point where I can buy the heavy charges for all of them, but I will in a pretty short amount of time. I have some books here. This one just gives me 1 to trainer, and this book I haven't started reading yet. I'm not too sure what it gives. I think once I'm done with it, it will give me +1 to Weapon Master. I think I will read all the books that are in the game eventually. It's just the first one that I bought. Also have a few horses in my inventory. They speed up traveling time if you're carrying a lot of stuff in your inventory. It's usually a good idea to have at least a few horses. I have, as you can see, I have lame horses. They are crap, but eventually they will heal, and they heal. It depends from the same skill, the wound treatment skill, which is used also for healing your wounded warriors. The same skill applies to horses, wounded horses in this case, which is lame horses are wounded. Then I have some food and a few trade goods which I picked up from some town, salt and data fruit, which I will sell once in some other town where I think with the price will be good. Now let's look at the party screen. As you can see, I have 8 NPCs, or my companions, whatever you wish to call them, and I chose to spread my important party skills on different companions. There are a few ways to play this game. Some people use their main character for all the skills, but in this case I would like to fight with my warrior guy, so I focused mainly on his fighting skills, which means that the important party skills will have to be covered by my companions. I should have probably had only one medic guy. As you can see, I separated the surgery, first aid and wound treatment skills on two different characters. Spotting and pathfinding are also 2 important skills. Engineering, very important later game. Other skills are not that good. Tactics, of course, it's also important if you're fighting against large armies. And as you can see, I'm using mainly elite cavalry units from different factions: Swardian Knights, Saranid Mamluks and Bajer Knights. There's one Carrick Lancer and Veteran Horse Archer, which I picked up. I usually use just a small band of elite cavalry troops, but I picked up a few elite Nord Huskarls, veterans and some veteran archers, because I released them. I fought a pretty big group of deserters, and they had these Huskarls, veterans and veteran archers as their prisoners. I usually wouldn't have them, but it was just too good of an opportunity to pass up, because they will come in very handy later, especially in sieges. Housecarls are invaluable there. What else? Yeah, let's look at my reports. I have a pretty decent renown actually. 400 is average but decent. And in the latest game it just becomes ridiculous, like above 2000, maybe even more. It adds a lot of room to your party. That's another way of upping your party limit. And the other one is a leadership skill on your character. I have just 12 honor rating, which I got, I think, just from the killing bandits in villages, where you kill off the bandits and refuse the offered reward by villagers, so you get honor rating instead. It's mildly useful. Like, you have there are honorable lords in all the factions, and if you have a high honor rating, you get better relations automatically with those honorable lords. Right to rule is very important. If you try to create your own kingdom, it prevents other kings just dogpiling on you in the beginning, and also lets you negotiate truces more easily. I have just two friends. They are, I think this one, Hamazan, is the Lord of Akhmerat, and Tansugai Nayan is a Lord of Ikamur. I was traveling around the map and doing the Bandit Lair quests, and you get relations boosts every time you do the Bandit Lair quest for that town's lord. I have no enemies, and I'm reading that book as I mentioned. Party skill is pretty low. Party size limit is pretty low because I have low charisma and leadership, and my renown is also not that good, but it will rise in time. I sent all my companions on the missions to gather support. The only one that haven't come back yet is Emira, and she will be back soon, but I will release her immediately because I already have 8 companions and this is a stable party. If I accept any other companion, it will fall apart because they will start fighting amongst themselves, and their morale will start to go down, so I won't be having Emira. Morale is not that important right now. I'm courting one lady, which I will marry to my character. It's pretty important to have a wife as a male character, because she becomes a very good chancellor once you create your own kingdom. So always marry if you can. And now let's look at the map. As you can see, it's only have been 100 120 days since the start of the game, something around that, along those lines. Game starts, I think, in 1257 March 1st, I think, so it's just July 28th. So it's not that I haven't been playing for very long, and the thing that you will immediately notice is that there's no Swordia, which usually occupies this area, and that's actually quite unexpected, because everybody, I think at one point Swordia was at war with every faction, so they obliterated the Swordians pretty quickly and divided Swordian lands. The Swordia is no more, like it even says in faction, yeah, Kingdom of Swordia has been defeated, so their lords just went to all the other factions pretty much equally, and they were divided pretty much equally to all the other factions, which actually makes the game a bit harder, because if there's less factions, then you are more likely to get attacked if you create your own kingdom, because other factions will be less likely to be occupied with something. So, but we'll see how it will go down. I actually thought that I will join some other faction, and I was even considering joining Kyrgyz, but now I actually think that maybe we will not be joining anyone, just attack some city, take it, and start our own kingdom without joining anyone else. Just start from the scratch. I will probably attack Kyrgyz or Saranids, because I think they're the easiest ones to take on in siege battles. Probably it will be Kyrgyz, I'm thinking, but at first I need to do a few things, like getting married, of course, and training a bit more Huskars and maybe some veteran archers, marksmen, I don't know, some missile troops. I won't bore you with the training sessions and all that. Maybe I will buy, oh yeah, I forgot about the main thing why I was accumulating money is not just to buy equipment, but also to buy dye works in all the different cities. I have 10 dye works in that makes up for half of the cities, I think, on the map, but it's enough for me, and they net me weekly revenue, which is quite alright. It lets me keep at least medium-sized elite force, which is probably enough. I won't need any more, I think, because dye works are pretty expensive. They cost 10,000 each. I think it will be enough for the start. After that we'll get our money from towns, basically our fiefs. So yeah, I think that's it. If I will update quite frequently, and I will probably start recording and playing live once we start our own kingdom, because I think that's where most of the interesting things will happen. So see you then. So it's 100 days later, and fuck the wife and fuck all her family. So I spend all this time trying to get the relations with her to 20, where she agrees to marry me. Then I need to get the approval of her father, and I up the relations with him to 26, and he still doesn't agree to marriage. So yeah, fuck them. This sexy beast runs solo from now. Where we are now, I spent quite a bit of time, as I said, 100 days in game days. That equals to about 1 day of real time playing, I think. And I upped my charisma quite a bit, together with leadership and persuasion. In terms of gear, I didn't get too much. I got just crossbow for sieges and long polyarm weapon. There might be a case when I need one. But the main thing, I got all my companions decked out in a pretty decent gear, which is similar to mine, except for these two support characters, but they won't see any fighting anyways. The party skills are also up, but just slightly. I also got a few more industries. Where is it? I think I have a dye works in 12 or 13 cities. So, and I have a full party with some Huskarls and Elite Vaegir and Nord archers. And I'm thinking I'm gonna start my kingdom now. It's November of the same year. I wanted to get it started as quickly as possible. I thought about attacking Khajiits. They're getting beaten in a few wars quite badly by Sarenids and Vaegirs. But I want to start my kingdom from a town, which means I want to attack some town first. But Halmar and Tulga are just too heavily defended for me. With a party of just 80 soldiers, I cannot take more than 300. I don't think I can. And there are some pretty good troops in them. Tulga is, by the way, pretty similar to this. It has a pretty similar garrison. So that's almost 100 lancers and it's almost 70 veteran horse archers. And another few hundred of lesser troops. There's just too much. So, and Khajiits and Sarenids are at war right now. They just recently started the war. But I cannot take Khajiits, and I don't want to take on Sarenids because they will be winning this war and they will be able to attack me. At the same time, I think a lot better than the Kyrgyz good. So I decided to go and attack Vages, the Kingdom of Vages. I'm thinking I'm gonna attack Ikemo. It's very lightly defended. I think there's only like 150 troops in there. And Vages are at war with Nords, which I think at this point are the strongest kingdom in at least in this particular game, and they will be the Vagers will get their asses kicked, I think, so they won't have a lot of time to deal with me. I'm counting on that. So yeah, down with the Vagers. Now here we are near the Ikemor. As you can see, it has only 131 defender, and most of them are pretty crap. Like mostly footmen, recruits, skirmishers, horsemen, nothing too serious. But if you want to attack any city, you have to have negative relations with that faction to which that city or castle belongs to. As you can see, it doesn't allow me to attack Ikemo, so I have to get my relations with the Vaegir faction down. I have actually a +2 positive relations with them. You can get negative relations by attacking villages, caravans or lords that belong to that faction. I think we'll just attack any random villager. One group should be enough to get negative relations. Now maybe I didn't tell you why that lady didn't marry me, as I played quite a lot. This game. I played this game quite a lot, and I always started as a vassal to some faction. At least I played any length of time as a vassal. I never tried to start my own kingdom from scratch. So when I belonged to some other faction, the lords of that faction will give their daughters to you very easily. I just had to have I don't know, I think just positive relations of 10, and they will give up their daughters. But in this case I didn't belong to any faction, so her father just refused to give her up. I think I could get him to agree, but I will need a lot of positive relation with him, and I just don't want to do it. So we'll just need to find some villages. Should be some villages going out from and to this village, I think. Okay, food will never go to waste. Here we are. So we'll just attack them. As you can see, my relations got to -6. I also got my relations with the city and that village also went down, and with the lord of that village, but it doesn't matter. It's just villages, so there's no need to have any tactics. We just kill them all quickly and then proceed to city. The Ikemo is actually a pretty poor city. I think at this moment it's like the poorest city in on the map, because it has been sieged quite a few times and there's always just a bunch of bandits around it. I won't take any prisoners, won't take any loot. Now I have another night. That's good. Now before attacking, I want to change my equipment. I'll take a crossbow, because in sieges the worst thing you can do is actually die. In any battle you should die the last. Ideally you should be the last one standing, because in unmodded game, once you die, the battle goes to auto-calculate, and auto-calculate in this game is really awful. The results from it are vastly not in your favor, so you don't want to die. Also, before the siege I will move up my infantry and my elite infantry and archers to the top, because I want for them all to show up in a battle, because my battle limit is, I think it's what was in the original game, the maximum in the original game, 150, so they won't be able to show up, all of them, in a battle. If you can have a battle size at the maximum that you can play comfortably, because my machine doesn't handle more than 120, 130 people on the battle map at once. It just slows down a lot. The more you have on the battle, the larger the size limit of the battles, the harder the game is. If let's say you'll go down to the as low as you can, some 20 or so, you can be pretty much unbeatable with just a handful of troops, because then the troop quality matters a lot more, and you cannot beat in troop quality you cannot beat yourself and your companions. There's just no warriors in the game that are as good as yours, so the game becomes easier.